The Suffolk Latch has two parts for me. You've got the handle and the thumber on the outside, and on the inside of the door you're going to have something like a staple and the latch bar lever. Typically for me, I like to mount those onto a back plate. The inside of the door is usually on the room side, and so people are going to be in this room for a longer period than just looking at the outside handle, which is typically in the corridor. The backing plate would be drilled to suit the door and is mounted typically on a panel door. So if you look at a panel door, you're going to have the door with the panels, and then your backing plate is going to fit somewhere in here. So we're constrained by that measurement, and that measurement to me is going to be between about 3 5/8 and 4 inches. I'm going to use inch by quarter thick, and math says that if I spread the inch out to 1/16 in thickness that I require, I should get about 4 inches. I don't, I get about 75% of that, so I get about 3 inches. If you're committed to forging the back plate, and I am, there are a couple of ways you can get there. As I said, I'm going to use 1/4 by 1 flat bar, and I'm going to spread it. In order to get this shape, after forging, I'm going to do a little pre-shape to the bar before I start to spread. I can pre-shape two ways. I can pre-shape on the flat surface, or I can pre-shape on the edge surface. I like to do the flat surface, and I'll try and explain why. My pre-shape basically comprises of creating two shoulders on the edge of the anvil, the near side and the off side, and then with this side I'm going to run that out in the taper to not quite touching the end. I'm hoping you can see that. So I'm about half thickness here, about half the width there, full thickness here, and that's my 3 inches, my 75% that I can get from my spreading. I like doing my pre-shape on the flat surface, on the wide surface of the bar, because it gives me a place to put my cross pin. If I take my cross pin and I start to spread here, you'll note that this corner is free floating, and that's fine. So I can just dig in until I've made a decent trough here when I'm spreading the material. If I do an edge profile, let's have a look at an edge profile. The edge profile starts up pretty much the same way. I just fuller in with whatever you're going to use for your fullers, and then I will draw out a taper from the bottom of those fullers to not quite level with the end. Same as I do with this. I set the shoulder and I draw out a taper to not quite to the end. So it's going to look something like that. The advantage I find is when I'm spreading the material, when I'm using my cross peen, my peen is floating in this trough. So I'm just concentrating on the material that needs to be spread. When I'm working here, I've actually got to dig in with that side of the cross peen to be able to get down full thickness here. I will spread the material for the blade here, and I will dig a trough until my cross peen is touching the bottom of that trough, and I just split the two bits of material in half. Then I'll work on the pillow, and again I'll work here with my cross peen corners out here in the trough, and I'll go down until I contact either side in the trough. Once I've done that, I'll pick a place, typically it's here, and I'll move the material away from me first, both here and then here. Once I've got the material moved away from me, not to the final measurement, just make a token gesture, then I can work towards me. Why away? Because that's my weak side. I find it very easy to move it towards me. So whatever I do on the away side, the hard side, I know I can usually equal with the easy side, bringing it towards me. When you're choosing a hammer to spread the material, I like a hammer that has a wide cross peen. This one has about 3/8 of an inch or so of flat surface. This hammer is made by John Williams of Guildworks. I like the wide surface because it spreads not only uniformly but efficiently. Here's my final outcome. So I'll work a little bit, catch up, work a little bit, catch up, and as I'm doing that I'm going to get some elongation of the bar stock. You'll notice that this and this are two different lengths, although they both started out equally. Once I've got this spread to my dimensions that I require, I'm going to cut it from the bar somewhere here in parent bar stock, and then I'm just going to peen this out to a token gesture, let's say 1/8 of an inch thick. Leaving this area thick, once you've drawn this out or spread this out, gives you the ability to come in and cut this and then do some fancy file work to give yourself a reveal that looks quite nice later. A filing vise goes a long way when you start to do the edge treatment of your backing plate. I'll make the staple out of an appropriately sized forged collar. I used a French pattern hammer during the making of this video. It's made by John Williams of Guildworks. And if you like this style of forging, go to my website markaspery.com. I have 3 books available that will help you on your journey to becoming a blacksmith.